Hello, and welcome to my channel. This is me. My name is Puddles, uh, and I'm making a series on encounter building. This is part 5, and we're talking about logical combat. We've been talking about it the last couple of videos, and now we're going to go into abilities that creatures have and how they would use them logically to make the fight seem more realistic. And make sense, because oftentimes you'll be in a fight and it just doesn't really make sense as to why you're fighting or why the creatures are doing what they're doing. So let's just go through some quick examples here. Let me go to the right screen. Ba-bam! Okay, first creature we got here is a Manticore. Manticores have wings. Manticores can fly. And they have tail spikes. Logically, why would a Manticore ever come to the ground if it still has tail spikes that it could shoot? So it has 24 tail spikes that it can shoot at people, and as long as it's in the open, it makes sense to me at least that it would want to fly. Why would it get close to you if it doesn't have to? Now, obviously, Manticores are evil creatures. They like playing with their little creatures that they're killing. So I would say maybe if the Manticore has got a few of its tail spikes into the party, they're bleeding out on the ground, I would say then it would come down to torment them and play with them, and then maybe obviously you could retaliate melee. But it doesn't really make sense logically why it wouldn't just fly. Why would it come close enough to the players that they could do bad things to it? I mean, it's not exactly the most intelligent creature in the world, but it's wise. And it's not like stupid. It just, yeah, logically it would fly, and that just makes more sense to me. And I think in a combat it would make more sense to your players, and also it will make the combat way more challenging if you don't let it come close to them at all. So this is just one ability that this creature has that you can use mechanically to make the combat more logical and more fun, hopefully. Number 2. We have a bunch of tribal warriors with a thug leader and a couple of regular wolves. Each of these, so this could be a tribal warrior encounter if you wanted to. It has different creatures. Each of them have similar abilities, but it would be more dynamic than just having 10 tribal warriors. But the thing that all these creatures have is pack tactics. So if they have somebody next to them, they get advantage on attacks. Now, the reason that they have this is because they have learnt to work together as a cohesive unit whilst in combat. So why would they spread out? It doesn't make sense. So logically, these guys would all fight together. They wouldn't break off into different groups. Well, maybe they would break off into groups, but they wouldn't individually go and fight somebody. They would go as a pair or as 3. They would never fight someone individually if they could help it. So logically, they would always be fighting as a group, and as such, mechanically getting their pack tactics. This is a pretty simple one, and the pack tactics is in there to obviously give them extra abilities that they can use, but also it works thematically. These creatures are supposed to fight together, so that being a part of their ability set is more of an incentive to make them do that, which is a pretty simple but oftentimes missed concept. So yeah, and then the third and final group here we have are gnolls. I did mention in the first video that if I had gnolls, they would go after the weakest creatures first, because they have this blood rage lust thing where they just gotta eat things and kill them, and they just want to taste blood. And there is a thing that mechanically they have that sort of represents that, which is called rampage. So the creators of D&D have really done well with a lot of things to give the creatures abilities that also play into their backstory or their narrative. And this is one that I think fits perfectly. Rampage, when the Gnoll reduces a creature to 0 hit points, the Gnoll can take a bonus action to, let me scroll down, to make a bite attack. So if it kills something, it gets to make another attack, which is exactly how I would think Gnolls would be. They bite something, and then they taste the blood, and then they just get this rage and attack something again. So that would mean, logically, they just want to kill things, and in the fight, would go for the weakest. So if there's a group... I went through this in the other video, but if there's a group of villagers, they're going to kill the villagers first, because that's just what Gnolls do. And their ability gives them an extra attack, which it does the whole cohesion stuff. And, I mean, it just makes sense, in my mind at least, when I think of Gnolls as, like, not mindless, but just uncontrollable with their hunger. But yeah, these are just... They're a billion abilities, and there are some that I wanted to talk about, but you sort of have to take into consideration other concepts that I haven't got into yet, and I'll definitely do that in the future. But yeah, when you're setting an encounter, look at the abilities that the creatures have, see how you could incorporate that into the fight and make it seem more realistic or more dynamic, or just more challenging. But yeah, definitely think about what the abilities are and why they are there, and how you can utilize them. Awesome. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks again.